So we have Boruto 2 Blue Vortex chapter 16 titled The Singularity of Fate, and in this chapter we discover more information about the prescience ability of Kashin Koji's, Sumire's true feelings about Boruto and how she reveals this to Sarada, and Shikamaru giving orders for Team 7 to go to the Sand Village in order to eliminate Ryu and Matsuri. Overall, this chapter provided a lot of information that was pretty necessary when it comes to the future of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. So let's just start from the beginning of this chapter, where we head into a flashback between Boruto and Kashin Koji, where Kashin Koji tells Boruto about Boruto's flying raijin jutsu. Obviously, this is a jutsu that Boruto did learn during the 3-year time skip. However, thanks to Kashin Koji's prescience ability, Boruto was able to learn many different abilities that the future version of himself from a completely different timeline was able to learn back then. And thanks to Kashin Koji, Boruto was able to pick on these things, such as learning the flying raijin jutsu. In the first page, Koji reveals that the flying raijin jutsu took Boruto 6 years in order for him to master. By being able to mark metal objects with his chakra, Boruto was able to sense them, where he eventually evolved it into a ninjutsu, where he was enabled to move freely and instantly to whatever location he wanted to. However, Boruto's flying raijin jutsu is not the same jutsu as the one that Minato invented, simply because they are two completely different jutsu according to Kashin Koji. So in essence, Boruto created his own copycat version of the flying raijin jutsu that produced near identical results. Whenever Boruto uses the flying raijin jutsu, we discover that metal objects are the most suitable for chakra marking, as this is the most optimal solution that he reached through trial and error. This is where Kashin Koji then suggests that Boruto should use symbols for metal object markers instead of just ordinary shuriken or kunai, in order to not get confused on which location that he wanted to go to. In case of a scenario where he has multiple markers, having different symbols will allow Boruto to teleport to his intended coordinates even if they are far away. And the farther that Boruto wants to displace himself, the greater the powers of concentration will be necessary. We did see this when Boruto first used flying raijin in 2 Blue Vortex back in chapter 3, where he teleported to the 10's dimension, where it did require a serious amount of concentration in order to teleport between two different dimensions. Koji then tells Boruto that within the few minutes that he has been telling him about this information, the future version of Boruto took many years in order to learn and master the flying raijin jutsu. Knowledge alone is not enough, and he will need to master and study it in order to get there. However, we all know just how smart Boruto is. He is a genius after all. Obviously, in 3 years, he was able to master this jutsu. Given the fact that this is a flashback after all, he was able to learn it, as seen in the current timeline of TBV. Obviously, with Kashin Koji being the messenger, thanks to his prescience ability, he is able to inform Boruto about his future abilities. However, what confuses Boruto is the fact that why hasn't Kashin Koji told other people about these different possibilities that can occur in the future in order to get some help, for example? Wouldn't this guarantee a good future or a good direction in order to stop future enemies, such as the Shinjus, for example? Koji counters this point by saying that the more people that know about a certain future, the more the nature of that future will then change. Once a certain individual knows about a future, that individual can no longer act the same as before they knew it. Instead, this will create new realities, making it even more difficult to predict what's going on into the future. This effectively nullifies the ability of prescience, as basically the more people that know about this ability, especially when it comes to their own future and the other possibilities, the more that they can subconsciously try to change it as well. As Kashin Koji even says that to know the future leads to the act of destroying it itself. And according to Koji, the more futures that you do know, the greater you diverge from the track called fate. This links to Kashin Koji's character even more, as this was something that Ishiki even mentioned when he saw Kashin Koji's true identity for the very first time, when we saw Kashin Koji get unmasked as the clone of Jiraiya. Jiraiya's fate was effectively done in order to be sacrificed for the next generation, and this was also Kashin Koji's fate as well. However, this is where the prescience ability did activate for the first time, where he realized there was much more for him to live in order to protect the next generation instead of just dying off, just like how Jiraiya did in the end. This is where Koji refers to him and Boruto as singularities, a heretical existence which makes the future unstable, as they know many futures that can affect the future timeline of the storyline. And this is something that Koji does not want other people to know about, so it's better for most folks to not know anything for things to proceed toward a good future. And the duty of singularities is to aid the paths of good future from the shadows. And this is what Koji is trying to do with Boruto, as with him seeing many different timelines of the future thanks to his prescience ability being awakened, he knows that telling other people about these timelines will cause unnecessary panic and subconsciously create an unstable future for everyone involved in the story. And Boruto and Kashin Koji are not the only people that are singularities when it comes to the prescience jutsu. This also involves Eida as well, thanks to her ability of the Senringan in order to view the past. Because of that, she is also referred as a singularity that will be able to aid the future of many people from the shadows. This is a dynamic that I really like, considering that Eida and Kashin Koji don't really know each other that much. Yes, they do know of each other, however, with them trying to essentially keep the village safe, especially with Kashin Koji, and with Eida discovering all of this information in past time, this effectively has her on the same side as Boruto and Koji if she really wants to. Because even though she has been introduced as a villain, she's been chilling inside of the Leaf Village for the past few years, and she hasn't been really posed as a threat. Yes, they do have her on house arrest right now, but effectively she hasn't done anything that has been deemed as a bad guy or a bad person, and she doesn't really have any intentions to do so. So with that fact, this will play a major role in the future, considering that Eida can really look into something like this if Koji ever devolves into more information when it comes to his prescience ability, and she will be able to see this at all times whenever she wants to by activating her Senringan. Anyways, we jump back into real time with Sarada, Sumire, and Eida, where Sarada is questioning Eida about where exactly is Boruto right now. Eida reveals that Boruto isn't really saying much since he must have his own reasons to basically protect both of these characters. Sarada understands that Boruto isn't the innocent and it's up to them three in order to help him. However, Sumire interjects by saying that she doesn't think that Boruto wants him to know where exactly he is right now. Even though they have taken Boruto's side, they have no intel about him. Yes, they did have a conversation for a little bit to explain what happened with Boruto and Sasuke. However, currently with Boruto's goals, they don't really know much about them, which Boruto even stated to the Leaf Village that he does not want to give any harm to them. So instead, they shouldn't chase after Boruto and just stay in the village in order to stay safe. Sarada says that they must be able to protect Boruto at all costs because fighting these monsters like the Shinju is way too reckless where he could die in a scenario like this. Sumire then claps back by saying, have you considered the possibility that Boruto got hurt because they were there as well? She even said that you might even want to try putting yourself in Boruto's shoes due to the pain that he is currently in, due to the things that he has to keep away from them, as he is being pursued by the entire village as well as the Shinju. And this isn't just about Boruto's feelings either, it's also about Sumire's too, where she even admits to Sarada that she likes Boruto. Obviously this was referenced in part 1 in the manga during the Vessel arc where they did go on that mission in order to help out Dr. Katasuke, and now it's been 3 years and all of a sudden Sumire does bring this up, where she even gets on Sarada for hugging Boruto after not seeing him for almost 3 years. And even though she tried to be respectful and understand her reaction in that moment, it seems like Sumire was jealous about the fact that she did get to hug Boruto, and that Sarada was not considerate about Sumire's feelings in that moment. Not even a little bit. And this is where Eida senses the tension between the two, and notice how awkward it is, where Sumire then rushes out of the room, and before she even rushes out the room, she tells Sarada not to really call her class rep anymore. It looks like Sumire is trying to stand up to herself and find her own identity by even asking Sarada, how much longer will I still be just the class rep? Which shows you that these characters are growing out their former roles that they were initially known as in part 1. Now, when I first read this, I'm gonna be real, I don't care. Because for me, when it comes to the Naruto Boruto series, just in my honest opinion, I think romance is the weakest element in this entire series. Now, I will admit though, romance in Boruto has been executed a lot better compared to Naruto, because I think when it comes to the Sakura and Ino dynamic, when they were essentially fighting over Sasuke, I really did not like that at all. However, when it comes to Sumire and Sarada, I think this is going to be handled much better, considering that these characters have their own identity that just don't evolve around one character. It can get annoying sometimes. It was was very annoying in Naruto, especially in Naruto Shippuden, but in Boruto it's a lot more bearable. And this is the love triangle that Kishimoto and Ikimoto are trying to establish. It's been hinted at a lot before, but now it's more apparent than ever, with Sumire essentially spilling out her true feelings. And we'll see where this goes, because right now Sumire feels like she is limited in the role that she is in, being referred to as just class rep, and somewhat feeling left aside when it comes to her relationship with Boruto, as she probably understands that Sarada's relationship with Boruto, her bond is much stronger than her bond with Boruto as well. So that's something to look out for, because I think this could be a way for Sumire to grow into a new role. Anyways, later in the chapter, we cut to the daimyo talking to the elders of the Leaf Village when it comes to Boruto. Obviously, in the past few chapters, Boruto was put in custody by the Leaf Village, but he did escape in the end, which does anger the daimyo. The daimyo then orders for the Leaf Village to recapture Boruto and then kill him as quickly as possible, or else those responsible will be questioned, as this is something that is promised that it will be done by the Leaf Village elders in order to suit the daimyo's wishes. Anyways, we then cut to Shikamaru meeting up with Eida, where they do have a talk when it comes to the new Shinju named Ryu. Eida warns Shikamaru that Ryu is heading for Gaara, and the only way to unseal Gaara now that he was put into a sealing jutsu is Ryu himself. So in order to stop this, Ryu must be taken down. Eida then reveals that what she saw about Ryu, and especially with Gaara being sealed away, it was not seen in real time from her Senringan. According to Eida, Mamushi is actually able to look into her eyes whenever she is watching with the Senringan. And this actually puts fear into Eida's heart, where she even questions that Mamushi could potentially hurt her if she continues to use the Senringan in real time, since he can sense it whenever she does use this ability. Eida then informs Shikamaru that Kawaki and Boruto have agreed to team up, so if they do want to take down the Shinju, the two of them should be able to do it. However, Shikamaru catches on that the toad he was speaking to was Kashin Koji, which Koji then reveals himself behind Eida's head. And this is where he tells Shikamaru to deploy Konohamaru, Mitsuki, and Sarada to the Land of Wind in order to take down Ryu and Matsuri. Obviously, with Koji having the prescience ability, his job is now to effectively aid the good ones behind the shadows. Of course, he can't tell everyone everything, that would cause unnecessary panic and create an unstable future. So in order to aid those people, such as Shikamaru for example, he will have to essentially drop these hints, such as deploying Team 7 in order to stop Ryu and Matsuri. And this is something that Koji is effectively commanding Shikamaru to do by telling him not to ask any questions, where he continues to add that do not let him worry outside of the village, as Jura is targeting her after all. We saw this earlier in TBV where they had their initial squabble, but however, now that Jura's outside of the village, it is imperative to keep Himawari inside of the village due to her having the 9 tails. And this is where we get to arguably the funniest panel of the entire chapter, and in my opinion the funniest page of the entirety of TBV, where Koji reveals that if Jura pulls up inside of the Leaf Village to go to the bookstore or the library, please let everyone know to treat him as a customer. This is hilarious because Jura is arguably the strongest villain we have ever seen, and if he wants to go buy some books for example, you're just gonna have to treat him like some ordinary citizen, right? Koji even warns that you cannot provoke Jura at any cost, because if they do truly anger him, they have no chance of winning. Absolutely none. Which basically confirms that even with Boruto having Kashin Koji, Kawaki, Eida, Damon, all these big powerful hitters, Sarada, Mitsuki, Konohamaru, Shikamaru, if all of these characters teamed up and decided to jump Jura at once, they have no chance of winning. Absolutely zero according to Kashin Koji. Jura is in a whole different power level compared to somebody like Ishiki for example. And due to how strong Jura actually is, if they fight the other Shinjus and Jura does show up, they will have to retreat immediately so they don't lose their strongest fighters, because if they do decide to fight Jura, it is basically an instant death. And before Koji leaves, he does thank Shikamaru for helping Boruto escape. He does praise Shikamaru for following his heart by going against the village laws and his fellow peers in order to carry it out without showing any proof of the actual truth due to the omnipotence. And this is where Koji tells Shikamaru that he will not coerce him and tells him to keep following his heart in order to achieve a good future. As mentioned before, this is the role that Kashin Koji is going to have to play right now. Thanks to his prescience ability, he cannot tell Shikamaru the entire truth about the future. However, he can aid Shikamaru toward a possible good future by giving hints, such as giving directions that can lead to a stable future. And from Shikamaru's perspective, knowing how smart he actually is, knowing that he actually cracked the omnipotence without actually knowing what the omnipotence is, I do think eventually he will catch on and realize that Kashin Koji is aiding him toward a good future. Toward the end of the chapter, we see Sarada, Mitsuki, and Konohamaru finally arrive in the Land of Wind, where they are then greeted by Yodo and Araya, Shinki's other team members, where they are also assigned to take down Matsuri and Ryu. Eventually, they do discover Ryu and Matsuri looking over a toad, where Ryu declares that a clue like this will be able to lead them to Boruto. After all, they are looking for Boruto's accomplice, which of course is Kashin Koji. And this is where the chapter ends. Chapter 16 is another solid chapter in my opinion, where we do get some more setup for the following chapters, such as the possible confrontation with Team 7 versus Ryu and Matsuri. We'll finally be able to see Sarada and Mitsuki fight more in action, as we've seen Boruto kind of take over that spotlight for a while, and obviously we have seen Sarada and Mitsuki fight before in CBV, but now we'll get to see the rest of Team 7 fight together. We'll see where Boruto is at. He might be heading to where they are right now, especially since now that he and Kawaki are teamed up together. So that is going to be interesting to see. So let me know what you guys think about this chapter in the comment section below. What was your favorite part of this chapter, and let me know, who do you think is going to win in this upcoming battle between Team 7 versus Ryu and Matsuri? Let me know what you guys think about all of that in the comment section below. So if you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell as well, and have a good day. Peace.